everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, March 22nd, 2022. Today's top story, in an ongoing effort to look more like Victor Newman, Michael has grown a mustache. Okay, that cannot be a coincidence. Christian LeBlanc absolutely had to know that he was going to drive the fans wild with this one. I mean, Michael has this new father-son relationship with Victor. He knows this, and he said to himself, now I need a mustache to go with it. Wow. Christian LeBlanc is so handsome. No matter what he does, he is so handsome. So I'm for it. I'm for the mustache and the symbolism. More the symbolism. And I am really surprised that he went right along with Lauren's plan to go work for Phyllis. Although then again, it's not like she hasn't gone along with a million of his work choices over the years. In fact, it was even acknowledged that at least she told him about her plans, whereas Michael plenty of times went off and did what he wanted to do without even discussing it with her. Plus, I mean, who could argue with Lauren's plea? She felt like running Newman Media with Nikki a year or more ago was such a thrill. All that extra work was such a thrill that now she wants to feel that way again. I mean, that's completely understandable. She wants to do this for her. But I also thought it was interesting that she did mention Nikki, because I didn't really think about that connection. Lauren is friends with Nikki, and so how is Nikki going to react when she finds out that Lauren is working with Phyllis, of all people? Michael is tight with Victor. Lauren is tight with Nikki. But knowing Nikki, I don't know, I just feel like she's going to look at Lauren and say, well, if Newman Enterprises can't be run by a Newman, I'm glad that at least it's you. Victor threw Nikki out of the ranch that he built for her as a gift. Wow. Dramatic. She's checked herself into a room at the athletic club, but did you notice that the bag she packed was rather small? That feels indicative of the future. Like, I just don't expect her to stay at the hotel very long. I don't expect the breakup to last very long. It was all very emotional and dramatic, and I loved it, but there was a part of me that thought I don't know how much I buy it in terms of lasting effect. I mean, that's also kind of how I feel about the whole Newman Enterprises takeover too, because it is happening. You know, Victor doesn't own his company right now. It's been happening. It's been going on. And yet I just still don't expect it to last. Somebody mentioned, I think it was last week. No, it was this week. Somebody on screen said that they liked how Phyllis had redecorated Victor's office. I can't remember if it was Kane or Billy. But as soon as I heard that, I thought, what? She hasn't really decorated at all. She replied saying something like that she had put her own personal touch on things, but all I see are still the horses, still the Greek gods. There's even the same trinket box sitting behind the desk. All Phyllis has done is pull Victor's portrait off the wall. And again, just like I was saying last week when we were talking about Phyllis's wardrobe, I think it would have been fun to see some actual change here. You know, not just talking about change, not just rotating who's sitting behind the desk, but actually seeing some change. I wish that Phyllis would actually redecorate the office just temporarily, at least to make the stakes feel high, at least to make the drama a little more fun, at least also to make it feel a little bit more believable. And then when, you know, have the whole place redecorated, and then when Victor gets back, which he will, we can do a scene of him tossing Phyllis's chic throw pillows out into the hall. When Phyllis saw Nikki coming into the athletic club with her bags, she said, "Oh, did Victor throw you out with just the clothes on your back? Because that's a lot more than you had on when he took you in." I cannot even handle the severity of that burn. That was such an incredible line. And she didn't even let it settle. Like, it was so brief. That has got to be one of the best lines that I have heard on the show in a while. And it just got glossed right over. So I said to myself, it's my job to highlight that little gem for everyone. If Y&R's not going to let that line breathe, then I'm going to give it some life here on Y&R Chat. But here's what I need you to highlight for me, to explain to me. Okay, last week, Victor told Phyllis that he didn't just want Chancellor in exchange for Jack. Victor told Phyllis that he wanted it all back, Chancellor and Newman Enterprises. And then he sent her away to do some thinking. And then when she got back, when he summoned her back, he said that he had changed his mind and now he only wants Chancellor. And she agreed. And then the deal was done. Bada bing, bada boom. He did a couple tappy taps on his phone, pretended to give the order to have Jack released. And I get that Victor totally tricked Phyllis into giving him Chancellor since Jack was rescued, not released. But then why not just trick her into giving all of the companies back? Why did he barter for a lesser amount when he had her right where he wanted her? That makes no sense to me. How could he let that happen? I mean, he could have had Newman Enterprises back right now. I guess he just has a separate plan for that. Something that entertains him more. Something just for the extra challenge. Billy was upset that Phyllis traded away his precious Chancellor Industries for nothing. Well, I'm sure not nothing. I mean, I'm sure that Victor will, well, he'll either give it to Nikki as an apology to try to get her to come home once he's cooled down, or he'll dangle it in front of her face as a see what I got and try to torture her with it. But either way, Billy ends up with nothing, which I think he really can't blame Phyllis for, although he was trying pretty hard. But Phyllis did exactly what Billy asked her to do. She made the deal with Victor, Chancellor in exchange for Jack. But Billy didn't bother to call her and tell her that Jack had been rescued, so she should call the deal off. Don't do the deal. So in my mind, that part of it is his fault entirely. I mean, he can't complain. But now he does not have Chancellor. Billy does not have the one thing that he fought so hard to get. And he, is telling Sally about it. I think she was probably trying so hard not to say, I told you so, that it was only going to end in some level of disaster. But she also already told him that Abbott Communications is Spectra Charles now. Still can't believe that he just rolled over and accepted that whole thing when that's his family company. He's the founder. Jill's the investor. It's an Abbott company in every way, but okay, Spectra Charles, if you say so. But Sally, is trying to help Billy figure out what exactly he's going to do next. And she suggested that he go to London and make amends with Jill. Was it London? I think it's London. Is that where she's dying at? I could be wrong, but I thought I heard London. But I think it's a good idea. I thought it was a really sweet scene between them, and I think it's great. I think Billy needs to go make amends with Jill before she has a tragic off-screen death. And be sure to say hi to Snapper while you're there. Diane walked right into that little yacht room and found Jack and Patty in a post-coitus position. And she did not ask any questions. Smack! Yes. Smack first, ask questions later. Diane, I like your style. It suits the soap fan in me. What can I say? Well, on the one hand, I can completely see her perspective. She just walked in and found her husband with another woman. I mean, that's hard to take. But because I'm omniscient, I'm an omniscient viewer of everything that happened, I can't help feeling absolutely awful for Jack. I mean, I felt how desperate he was to get out of there. I felt how helpless he was, and I saw the way he was manipulated. I saw the way that he was drugged, and I felt so embarrassed for him that not only just his wife, but also his little brother and his son had to walk in there and see him like that. He was stuttering and stammering, and Peter Bergman is just so good. I can't say it enough. And Patty was absolutely unapologetic. I mean, I don't know if I entirely believe that she was drugged too, But probably she got ushered away real quickly so that Diane and Jack could fight privately. And I just wanted to shout at Jack, tell her you were kidnapped and drugged. I swear it took 4 scenes before he finally said the words, I was drugged. But even when he said the words, Diane really didn't or couldn't accept them. And in her mind, it doesn't matter how powerful the drugs were, he wouldn't have done it if he didn't want to. He couldn't have done it if he didn't want to, which I guess is a fair point. I don't know. If you were Diane, would you leave him over it right then and there? I think that's a good poll question for the week. Do you guys think that Diane should leave Jack for good over this? YRChat.com. I can't wait to see the numbers on that one, because Diane went right home and she packed a bag and she walked out the door, and she will presumably book a hotel room right next door to Nikki. Speaking of hotel rooms, Adam and Nick apparently booked the Jungle Room at unnamed Las Vegas hotel. Wow. Leopard print, cheetah print, zebra print, some leafy decor, and that big bloody painting on the wall. Who wouldn't want to have a good night's sleep with the animal print room and a big blood splatter painting on the wall? I mean, that just really evokes sleepy time. For me, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I want to see the bed in that room. The room scares me. It does not portend good things for the future. Although I do kind of love the idea that Nick and Adam are sharing a room together. I love the idea of them lying there side by side in their twin doubles. No, you know what? Some of the best scenes take place off screen. Let's go all in honor of Vegas. The bedroom part isn't just side-by-side twin doubles. It's bunk beds. Adam and Nick in bunk beds in Vegas. That's the ticket. Oh, that's fun. Who's on top bunk? Who's on bottom bunk? Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Nate found out this week that Lily had indeed been kidnapped, and Kane knew about it all along, and in fact has a photo to prove it. Did anyone else find Nate's reaction to be rather subdued? I mean, he should have been freaking out. He should have been calling Devon, gathering together every resource he had, and moving to try to rescue Lily from this perceived danger. And then Kane told him that it was Victor who was holding Lily, while Victoria was standing right by his side. And did Nate pump Victoria for information? No. He just lightly asked her if she knew anything about it, and then accepted her answer and let her walk away. Are you kidding me? where is the drama in that? It better be soon to come. Because, of course, Victoria knows what's going on in her own family. She's Victor's right hand. How could he just accept that Victoria was telling him the truth? Why would he think that her loyalty would be to him instead of Victor? I don't know. Come on, Nate. Looks can only get you so far. Pretty far, but only so far. Cool your hothead tendencies. That is ridiculous. But I like the cool, hot juxtaposition there. Cool your hothead tendencies. Who do you think said that? If you think you know, or if you want to know, go to yrchat.com. Quick birthday shout out to Christy, whose birthday is tomorrow. No, Tuesday, March 24th. Happy birthday, Christy. Oh boy, we got a lot of comments this week for such a short week. Russell says, Nate is going to be so mad and disillusioned with Victoria when he finds out that she knew all about the kidnapping. He will feel as, or even more, betrayed as he did when Audra fed him the lies for weeks. Well, first question is this going to blow up? Because if he is able to accept now that Victoria says, no, I didn't know anything about it, then what's going to change later that's going to make him really question it? And also, you make a really great point, Russell. Which is worse? Audra doing her little seducey thing with Kyle to try to trick him while she was with Nate, or Victoria withholding the truth from Nate that she knows all about Lily's kidnapping and the plan and everything. And plus, like, when it comes out and it is revealed that Lily knew everything, I mean, isn't that going to kind of wash it over too? That it wasn't really a true kidnapping. It was a going along with a kidnapping and going ahead and letting my family be worried about me and everything. Wouldn't the focus maybe shift to Lily and not Victoria? I don't know. But Naomi says, could we get Elena back, please? She vanished with no real explanation, just like Chloe. Oh, that's a blast from the past. You know, I love Elena in theory. I feel like she filled a space, you know, but her character never really quite blew me away. I mean, I think her greatest moment was when she slept with Nate in that little medical clinic that they were both working at. That was probably peak Elena for me. But they could bring her back and, you know, give her a real good purpose, and I'd be all for that. Tavi says, I just read that Tina Cassiani, who played Riza, Thomas back then, Thompson now, is returning on Monday, March 23rd. She last appeared in February 2020. A couple things about those dates. Well, that's Monday. And March 23rd is Monday. And we did see that little preview where Riza is pulling a gun on Spider, a.k.a. Adam. So that should be a really nice way to kind of escalate this Vegas drama quickly. Also, February 2020 is when she last appeared. This, I think, is perhaps a story that got cut short when COVID happened, right? Because if she was appearing in February 2020, Y&R still filming behind a little bit, but that's like right when it was all happening. And then, you know, Y&R finished airing out the episodes that they had, and then we went to classics for all those months, and then when we came back, different world, different stories. I mean, we kind of continued on in a way, but it definitely got dropped. And Astra says, maybe it's just me, but I think it's a little forced. with everyone being afraid of Adam going back to his old ways by taking one trip to Vegas. He is so far removed from that. It just feels like contrived drama. If Adam was still the town pariah and not the changed man that his family respects now, then this storyline would land better. Yeah, I do kind of wonder how much of that how much of the whole spider thing just didn't get played out if it got cut off over COVID. And where we're picking up with it now, Astra, I think you're right. It definitely feels like a new story, and there is some transition awkwardness. It feels like we're supposed to know what went on, but we're not really being told what went on. And I think Y&R needs to show, not tell, and maybe they're going to jump right into that next week as soon as Riza comes back. Sharon W. says, thank you, Y&R, for letting Nick and Adam work so closely together. They do a great job acting together, and it's especially nice to not see the fighting between the brothers anymore. Much better writing lately, where Y&R is starting to thread together more and more characters under the same storyline with great results. Nick, Adam, Noah, Sienna, and Sharon are all shown with each other at different times to sit and talk over how to capture Matt and put the end to this torment. Then Victor and Nikki also talk to everyone to offer their ideas for capture. Obviously, Chelsea is now involved while she sits at home worrying about how when Adam will return. It's great acting all around. Yeah, I do. I like that a lot. I like the stories where we have multiple characters brought in together. And I agree with you. I really like seeing Adam and Nick working together with just that hint of tension. It's interesting to watch. T. Nicole says, Adam is so much more strategic than Nick. I love Nick, but I'm like, Nick, please let Adam take the lead on this one. Noah is so much like his dad, and they act on impulse. Noah needs to be more on guard like Sienna and Sharon. Why he thinks Matt won't show up in Genoa City is so silly to me. You know, it's a nice balance, though, isn't it? Because in a way, you've got Adam is strategic, Nick is impulsive, Noah is impulsive like Nick, Sienna is more grounded and strategic. So there's a little bit of push and pull there. Tavi says Noah seems to be developing a dark side, too. Sienna looked a bit scared of him. You know, I wonder, Tavi, who is going to be the one to take down Matt? Because you would think it would be Nick, because Nick is the one who has this really long history with him, but Noah has this recent history with him. But Nick is the one who's chasing him down in Vegas, but Noah is the one who's texting back. So who's going to be the one to really seize the moment, or maybe it will be a group effort? I don't know. Brent says, Chelsea had the most endearing conversation with Sharon about Mariah. Sharon was surprised by her compassion. Chelsea said, why do people want to define us by our worst moments? Well, we're seeing a lot of people's worst moments lately. That's true. That's good. I love those unexpected little moments. That is a nuance of the show that is really good right now. I love a good, strong plot. I love knowing where we're going, or at least being intrigued by where we're going. But when we slip in those little moments, just those little conversations where we're just comfortably discussing and you know, kind of just digging into juicy character details, I like stuff like that, where those Chelsea and Sharon scenes, those slow scenes, it again creates a really nice balance. And then you're right that they were discussing Mariah this week, and then in the previews for next week, we see Christine meeting with Sharon, I think, and saying that she needs her help with Mariah. I've been noticing the last couple of weeks the lack of Mariah. In fact, I've found it quite nice. I was on Mariah overload with all of the kidnapping. I needed a break. I was on Mariah exhaustion. But now it looks like we're going to be coming back to it. Christine is a good lubricant for that for me. She greases the wheel a little bit for me because I just enjoy seeing her on screen, and I love that she's being folded into Mariah's case. So we'll see what Christine has to say next week and if Mariah shows up right behind. Oh, Tavi says, so Nikki and Jack are friends. Victor doesn't like it. Victor had Jack kidnapped. Similarly, Victor and Ashley are friends. Nikki doesn't really like that, so I think Nikki should go to Ashley and explain what Victor did and scheme to pretend that Nikki kidnapped Ashley and see how Victor reacts. I like the way you think, Tavi. I really like that. Can you imagine? Boy, that'd be a good way to bring Ashley back, too. Gary says, I don't care if you don't forgive me. Get out, Victor tells Nikki. Yeah, that's what he said before. I know, that's the thing, Gary. I feel like a lot of this doesn't feel permanent. I just don't buy it. I just don't buy that Victor and Nikki are going to stay broken up for very long. I just don't buy that Victor's going to lose his company for very much longer. There's something about the stakes that just haven't been raised enough to make me believe it. But the emotion is there. Russell says, I surprised myself when I felt a bit sorry for Victor when he told Nikki that he thinks she cares more for Jack's wounds than she does for him. The hurt was all over his face. Their argument was heartbreaking. Yeah, I mean, I think they both have perspectives, right? I mean, that's the makings of a good argument. They both have their point of views. T. Nicole says, so let's see here. Jack and Diane can be separated in the near future, and Nikki and Victor are also on the rocks. So does that leave the two close friends who have recently shared 2 overly friendly embraces open to lean on each other and become more than friends? I also like the way you think, T. Nicole. That might just be where it's all leading, or at the very least where it's all hinting to. Whether or not Jack and Nikki actually get a relationship out of this, I feel skeptical, but I do like the implication. I can tell you that. And of course, the speculation. The implication and the speculation. That's what I'm here for. Sharon W. says, Patty really put her body into that scene with Jack on Monday. Don't know which of her lines was best. 1, telling Jack not to feel guilty. 2, her telling Billy he was as handsome as his brother. Or 3, her telling Diane she couldn't get out of bed because her clothes were strewn all over the room. I vote 2. I liked the line with Billy. I thought that was really funny. Boy, what if Patty starts coming on to Billy? There's just something in that Abbott DNA that she's attracted to. Diana says, Y&R is so good this week. Lots of excitement. I loved the scenes with Jack and Patty on the boat. Jack was so funny as he was in such a daze with Patty when she was making the moves on him. I especially loved Patty's outfit. She looked very hot. I loved the navy blue skirt with the gold zippers and her bra. She pulled it off so well and is very fit at her age. She has also been working out, it seems, obviously not eating very many carbs. I find this actress so inspiring. Oh, I have to pause there. She does look so darn good. I feel like sometimes like these soap opera actresses have given me a very false idea of what aging should look like. It's like unreal. It's unreal. She looked so good, and I'm glad somebody mentioned that. Diana also says, I'm happy that the character is not so crazy as when we saw her last. I didn't like when her character was so insane in an institution. I found it to be too much. I was worried when I heard she was coming back to the show, so this was a pleasant surprise. Her scenes with Jack were very steamy. It was so enjoyable when Diane barged into the room to save Jack, who obviously didn't need saving. The best was when Kyle and Billy came in after Diane. That was so unexpected. Y&R has really stepped up the show, and I'm really enjoying it, as I'm sure many others are as well. Yeah, the boat trip definitely was a step up. Got a new set for it, got a new actress. I love it when the show is suddenly like, fresh. But Sue W says, okay, Patty's throaty sex pot stuff has been so icky, ick. And the actress is OMG so gorgeous. I love the hilarious, unapologetic sleaze she has committed her character to. Guest star daytime Emmy contention already, in my opinion. Yeah, you know what it is? There's a sleazy element to it. And she pulls it off very well. And you're right, the actress does come off as like fully committed. Yeah, I feel like Patty is so fun. I was so excited for her return. I love her constant attention seeking from Jack. I love the idea of her maybe switching a little bit of it to Billy. I just wish that the drugs hadn't been involved. Like, that's what makes me feel icky, ick. And it's bizarre because women used to, drug guys all the time, get them into bed, get pregnant. I mean, that was daytime at a point. But somehow that just does not sit the same with me anymore. I mean, I feel like that's maybe one soap trope that just has not aged well. Plus, I just felt so bad for Jack. It was like I was ready to enjoy it, and I just found myself feeling bad the whole time. Oh. T. Nicole says, it must be so awkward for Kyle to walk in on your dad in bed, not even with your mom, but in bed with another woman cheating on your mom. Yeah. And that's interesting that episode ended with Kyle. Like, Billy got his chance to say what he needed to say. And then Jack was like, Kyle, I can't right now, please. And then at the very end of that episode, Kyle came into the room and kind of poured himself a drink and sat down next to Jack, and they didn't talk. I actually like that. I think that is really smart. There are sometimes things that just don't need to be said. I felt like the shock of what happened in the room was everything that needed to be said and needed to be shown. So I thought that was really effective and a really good episode. Robin says, that was an awesome slap by Diane. She struck him like a rattlesnake. Diane has become a favorite, and I also like her hair. Yeah, she's got great hair. Brent says, poor Diane. That slap. Of course Jack deserved it. No drug can force him to act out as he did. Not without some desire on his part. That's interesting. So there's some like pro Diane, but then Steven says this. GHB is not called the date rape drug for nothing. Rape is its design. GHB doesn't reduce inhibitions, it destroys them. Jack wasn't unfaithful. Jack was sexually assaulted. Victor commissioned it. There's a difference. And the show just walked past it. Daytime TV is supposed to be fun, but when the victim gets the slap and the perpetrator gets the chuckle, something has gone wrong. Victor chuckling while Jack takes the blame is pure evil. Before I retired, I was a criminal lawyer. I prefer barrister. I've defended rape cases, and they're the worst of my career. My skills deployed against my own conscience. My calling was the presumption of innocence. Unlike Y&R, I never chuckled. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I'm kind of grappling with there, Steven, personally, too, because it's like, wow, I love the excitement and the fun of daytime soaps, and it's like so wild, and there's a certain amount of suspension of disbelief that you sort of have to throw out of your brain to go along with some of these crazy stories. But then, yeah, I think, you know what I think it is? I feel like it's Peter Bergman's performance just being so empathetic and so, I mean, he just really made me feel for him. And then it didn't feel campy anymore. You know, I think Peter Bergman played it for sincerity, as he should. And so that made me be like, ew, icky ick. And also, you make a good point. This is really similar to the Marco situation with Victor and Jack, which I did a retro recap on a couple of weeks ago. And in doing that video, I had actually gone back and watched some old Y&R chats from that period when Victor had Jack replaced with that twin. And going back and listening to those Y&R chats, I actually said at the time, I have never seen Victor Newman as a villain until now. And I just, you know, thinking back on it, and thinking about how there's so much anti-Victor sentiment amongst the fans now, I really feel like that Marco situation is one of the things that just really turned the fans on Victor, and they just never forgot it, never could get past it. It was just so yuck. And now here we are again in 2026, kind of exploring something similar. Well, I guess we have to wait and see how it all shakes out. Maybe Patty was behind some of it. I don't know. I wanted that to be fun. Thinking about it in reality terms, really, I did not have as much fun with it as I had hoped. But Naomi says, well, for once it's Billy asking Jack, what were you thinking? I know that the tables were really turned there, weren't they? That, you know, it's always Jack asking Billy, what were you thinking? And now here we are, tables turned. Sharon W. says, great scene at Society today between Billy and Sally. Great dialogue. It was so thoughtful and caring that Billy told Sally that he knows he knows she really loves him by telling him to go see Jill and relax and take time to think over what he wants his future to be. And so loving of Sally to tell him that she was sorry he lost Chancellor, but that she'll be there to support him. Yeah, I mean, it was good. It's weird. It feels like Billy and Sally were together. Billy did not have Chancellor. And then everything blew up. Billy and Sally broke up. Billy had Chancellor for like 2 weeks. And then now we're right back to exactly where we were before. I feel like we just jumped back in time. Almost like there was a plan for Billy. And then something happened, and then we just like went back and went, no, erase, and then just jumped back to 2 weeks earlier. Oh, here's another comment from Stephen who says, a pattern worth noting in Tracy this week. When Nikki arrived at the Abbott mansion with a full picture, kidnapping, a yacht, a woman, Victor's intentions, Tracy offered tea and positive thoughts. She told no one, not anyone on the Abbott rescue team, secrecy felt comfortable. When Billy called from the yacht to say Jack was safe, Tracy didn't hesitate to gush to Nikki. The one moment in this entire arc when secrecy actually mattered, Tracy opened her mouth. Only texting Victor would have been worse. She stayed silent when silence would have protected Jack. She spoke when silence would have protected the Abbotts. She didn't even stay up to see Jack arrive home. She might have made the difference with Diane. Instead, she enjoyed the sleep of the unjust. With Victor ghostwriting her script, what could go wrong? Oh, wow, Stephen. Yeah, Tracy was like, oh, your husband kidnapped my brother? Can I offer you a cup of tea? It was like, what? And then by the time the crisis was over and everyone got home, Tracy had vanished. And yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but I guess it was a huge plot hole that Tracy didn't call anyone, you know. I guess Y&R assumed that since the viewers knew that Billy and Kyle and Diane were on the case, that, you know, that we didn't need Tracy to know that. I don't know. I mean, Tracy would have had info that was directly coming from Nikki that she could have passed along to the investigation. And I don't know. It was weird. That conversation was so civil. It was almost like so civil that it was awkward. And still, Tracy bears no hostility. That one of Victor's plots involving Patty cost her daughter's life. Ooh, I feel a retro recap coming on. That might have to be one of my next ones. Okay, well, Russell says Phyllis's face when she realized she'd been duped by Victor was pricelessly hilarious. Yeah, I know. She did have a really good facial reaction there. Daisy says, I really want Phyllis in jail. She has no credibility in the business world. I can only imagine that those who do business with Victor will not work with her. Also, I think Victor would hire Kevin to use his computer skills to recover what Phyllis stole. Not only is Kevin an expert on computers, but he knows enough about Phyllis to countermand anything she does. I wish they'd stop dragging this out, though. I'm looking forward to law enforcement taking Phyllis to jail for corporate espionage. I feel you on the wishing it was over, honestly, because I just don't buy it. If the stakes felt real and I had an emotional pull to it, I think it would be different. But all Phyllis has done is pull down the portrait and sat in his seat. That's all I really feel out of it. That's all I really see out of it. Connie says, well, my theory about Lauren secretly teaming up with Michael was busted today. Lauren is absolutely spot on about Phyllis being seen as the witchy mean girl versus the good old boys when both are engaging in the same legally questionable or cutthroat business tactics. I still think it's a crazy business decision for this partnership, but I love the idea of girl power. Yeah, and I love the idea that Lauren was advancing it, that it came from her mouth. Like, you know what? Victor also stole the AI to take over somebody else's company, and yet Phyllis does it, and she's the town pariah. So, I like that Lauren is advancing that idea, and she's climbing right on board with it. Sue W. says, I'm surprised Lauren is as supportive as she is. Girl power is only admirable when it has an admirable foundation. Yeah, it feels a tick off character for Lauren, because normally she is very up and up. She's always telling Michael to be on the up and up, and now here she knows Phyllis wasn't, and she's willing to go on board and work with her in a job that may or may not be temporary. Sue W. also says, Phyllis captured the white whale. The white whale wins. The literary references the writers insist on characters spouting always cracks me up. Craftily inserted, to be sure, but no one talks like that. Michael, maybe, but Lauren calling up Melville? No. Reminded me of the whole Count of Monte Cane that all the characters were so supposedly tuned into. Okay, it was fun, but I'll never buy the pretentious citizens of Genoa City as well-read. Yeah, especially when their coffee book tables are always like, Milan! Into the pink! Flowers! I've seen no classic literature on those coffee tables. But I do appreciate it. I feel like that's a very writerly thing to do. Writers are also readers. And I think they like to, demonstrate their love of the classics. I may or may not be guilty of that a little myself. Oh, Diana says, I am really appreciating the different camera angles we've been getting on the show lately. It is very noticeable, and it does really add to the show's appeal visually. We saw an aerial view at Crimson Lights, when Adam was drinking at the bar at the ranch and speaking to Chelsea, when Nikki came home and was looking for Victor when she first walked into the ranch. There are some examples. It is these small touches that the show does that makes the show more appealing, and it gives us a different view without having to change the sets. Yes, Diana, it's just a slightly different view, probably coming from the fact that they have a variety of different directors coming in. And, so that creates a different view. I also appreciate it when we're like maybe underneath a table, peeking in at somebody, or through a door, looking at somebody. There's a lot of creativity that goes into the production of Y&R. Tavi says, when we saw Jack on the boat too, it was slowly panned out through the window to reveal the water everywhere. Yeah, the porthole shots, the whole boat thing is a really good example. I've heard from other soap fans who watch other soaps that they feel that Y&R has the best production value. Like watching their show and then looking at Y&R, that Y&R has better sets, better wardrobe. And I think that's probably true. And Y&R is somehow able to pull it all off and give us full hour-long shows each and every day, 5 days a week, barring March Madness. Wow, my chatter friends, we have survived it. We have survived March Madness 2026. Oh, 4 days down, 1 to go. So we got our last show on Wednesday, so we needed to survive Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday without Y&R. No, wait, yeah, so I guess that's 3 down. Sorry, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We had to survive 4 days, and we've got 1 more to go. Less than 24 hours, you guys. We'll be back watching Y&R. I feel sorry for non-soap fans having to wait a week, maybe sometimes even months over winter, spring breaks to see their shows, like in between seasons. I feel sorry for people who watch shows with, regular schedules, season schedules where they take breaks and stuff. Y&R, no breaks. It's just 5 shows a week, few exceptions. What would I do? Well, I browsed around on Paramount Plus, which has nothing else. I have Paramount Plus only so that I can quickly watch my Y&Rs. And nothing, there's freaking nothing else. Ghosts is good. But I'm already through all that. I watched a little 6-show series called Can You Keep a Secret? It was just 6 episodes. I was able to bang it in the 2 days that I had no Y&R. I was able to just zip through those 6 episodes. It was right in time too. If anybody else knows anything good on Paramount Plus, please let me know. I gotta have something to fill my downtime when I do have it. I also have been filling my downtime with these retro Y&R recaps. This week, if you want to go to yrchat.com, I have posted a retro recap titled, Who Killed Diane Jenkins? I was in a Diane Jenkins kind of mood this week, and I feel like that's one of Diane's most famous stories. This is going all the way back to 2011 when Mara West was playing the role. Mara West, famous as Carly on As the World Turns, took over the role of Diane briefly, and then Y&R in the Maria Arena Bell era killed her right off. Just killed Diane right off. Tons of suspects. The Who Killed Diane murder mystery overtook the show. It was tangled. It was crazy. And if you want to know who ended up doing it, Who Killed Diane Jenkins, you can go to yrchat.com and watch that retro recap. I think it was a fun one. It was actually a story like we were just talking about that had like an event and multiple characters pulled into it. In that way, it was interesting. I'm not sure it was executed all that well. I remember being incredibly frustrated with it, but I do love stories that encompass a large part of the cast. And when all was said and done, there were 10 suspects in Diane's murder. Very, very, very messy, very, very interesting story at yrchat.com. You can also leave comments about the current shows there on the website. I love hearing from you guys. I appreciate the positive tone that is there. You guys always leave really thoughtful, really positive comments about the show, and you just can't find that anywhere else. Certainly not on social media these days. I always, like, sometimes I'll go on and I can handle social media for a couple months at a time, and then it just kicks right in, and I'm like, oh, all these comments, they're just so unhappy and mean, and I'm like, do you watch the show or not? I don't even know. It gets real kind of vicious, and I can't handle it, but I always know that if I go to yrchat.com, I'm just gonna get like thoughtful comments. Don't care what the perspective is, but the comments there are always respectful, and behind it have an appreciation for the show. So thank you to everyone who contributes there. And if you haven't contributed there, why not? If you have any ray of sunshine about the show to give, please put it there. And of course, we have great photo captions that happen there at the website. Games, the quote, the poll, all that good stuff. So it's a good place to be, especially if you have some downtime while you're watching out the clock, waiting out the clock this last 24 hours before the show gets back. Oh, I can't wait. I love you guys. It's been torture. It's been torture not having the show. But I somehow was able to get an hour of Y&R chat out of it. How's that? My brain just goes, we're gonna talk for 1 hour about Y&R, whether it's 3 episodes or 5. I just know. It's my rhythm at this point. But it has been hard waiting for it. Waiting for it to come back. So I just know that with all of you, we're gonna be like on our screen on Monday, just like When they said, it always sneaks up on me too. I knew it was going to be coming. When St. Patrick's Day rolls around, I always kind of in my mind know, oh, I know that March Madness is coming. But I hadn't read anything about it. And so Y&R came up at the end of Wednesday's episode, next week on Y&R. And I was like, no! Because I wasn't mentally prepared. I never am. But I am mentally prepared for it to return. So I will see you guys next Sunday. I love you. I hope you have a good week. See you next time. Bye.